What's up, Spiffy Life? Welcome to Thursday's video, this week's story week. And I know a lot of you guys probably have wondered, because my original video for this channel was Day in the Life of an Amputee. Second video was Food for an Amputee, so he must have an amputated something. Now you guys have seen, if you watch the full Day in the Life of an Amputee video, that I have a prosthetic leg. Today I kind of just wanted to give you a background of how I got it and what made me lose it, and yeah, I think this is a perfect opportunity, it being story week and all. So essentially, let's just start off when I was 4 years old. They thought I had something on my foot that was a lump that was just fatty tissue that they could remove if I needed it be in the future, if it bothered me when I was an adult. But sadly, it wasn't just a fatty node. Sadly, it wasn't just a fatty node or whatever it may be. It was something at the time that they described as venous malformations. Now, essentially, it was described to us and was understood by medical teams essentially everywhere, because there were 30 doctors that had been around me and worked on me from all around the world trying to understand what was happening. Now, at this time, I was 1 out of 9 people with it. Essentially, it was, as I said, described to us as veins that tangled up because there were too many, or things that was easily clotted, like blood. If I got hit, my blood would easily clot, and pockets in those veins where the clots would stay, and if they accumulated too much, it would have a possibility to travel to my heart and kill me. So because of that, for my childhood, I wasn't able to play football. I wasn't able to, do most things. When I played catching for baseball, I had to use shin guards, back and front, even though they're only made for the front. Well, at least the ones that I used were. So we progress on, things are going good, and I have an issue. Something happens, I get my muscle removed. Now, at the time, I was probably a couple months into recovering, and I was assaulted. Now, this kid knew fair well, he had been an acquaintance that I had recently had a major surgery. And I felt as though, at the time, angry. We ended up going, essentially what happened was he kicked me in the back of the leg. At that time, he knew, like I said, that I had the surgery and the disease. So I very much believe it was intentional. But anyway, that night we went to Children's Hospital in Boston, and one of the best hospitals in the world. Tons of people, especially for vascular programs, go there. The kids, if you were a kid the first time you went there, and now you're 18, 20, you could still go there if your doctor resides in Children's. It's a very accommodating hospital, and it's amazing. And it discovered that I had 2 more blood clots just from that one kick. So, not my finest hour, but the next day, usually after going to Children's, especially late at night, not getting home till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't go to school the next day. But I was up at 5 a.m. Really, I never went to sleep. I was ready, and I punched this kid in his face multiple times. As I said, it wasn't my finest hour. They couldn't prove that he had kicked me because it had been in the only hallway in the school that didn't have a camera. Took 2 teachers to get me off of him. Wasn't my finest hour, but it was well deserved on his part, because as I said, the 2 blood clots could have went to my heart and killed me. By that little aggravation he had, he could have killed me. So he very much deserved the ass whooping I gave him. So when we move on, things get a little bit better. I'm getting steroid injections from my doctors. Essentially, it's a steroid that attacks cells or anomalies, not like the steroids like weight lifting steroids, completely different. But they eventually, my body got an immunity to them, and they didn't work anymore. So that's when my doctor, Dr. Alamari, he was actually just awarded an award for vascular discovery, I believe. And he recommended we see a surgeon. So I met my first surgeon that actually operated on me, which these steroid injections were before the muscle was removed. So sorry for getting a little bit sidetracked, but so these injections were before the muscle was removed. Then he recommended I see a surgeon. I saw the surgeon, got my muscle removed, and then that event with the kid happened. Now we move on to clinical trials. Essentially, they tried multiple things. They tried therapy. They tried steroid injections again. They went down to the brink of the line, which was cryoablation, which is essentially, cryofusion. You ever hear of that? Hypersleep in movies where they freeze them and they wake up hundreds of years later or a couple years later. Well, it's that, but it is freezing of specific cell types to kill the cells. But the thing why it was a clinical trial is that if it had gotten into an area where my Achilles tendon was, since they were injecting it there, if the freezing spread and hit my Achilles tendon, it would freeze my Achilles tendon and immobilize it. And that's exactly what happened. So we waited 2 weeks, and I asked for my leg to be taken off. And that's literally the story of how I lost it. It was bound to happen sometime in my life, but I didn't expect it to be this early. It was some kid's stupid, rash decision because he was following a group of people that weren't in his best interests that cost me my leg. So every time I think, and you should too, that I should make fun of a kid or should say something, even though sometimes I do say the things, I always have in the back of my mind, is this reasonable and is it responsible? So I guess this story is a little bit sad maybe for some of you. I don't know if I'm going to keep it raw or uncut or edit it. But I guess other than that, I've been doing great. It's opened a lot more opportunities for me. I'm no more pain and I'm happy. Happy as hell. I'm loving life. So I just wanted to thank you guys, the Spiffy Life, for helping me with the emotional things that I do go through because of having no leg, because it does take a toll on me. And doing this is so much fun for me and it's a hobby. And I want to thank the surgeons and the hospital as a whole at Children's and of course my grandparents, Grandma and Grandpa. You have seen my grandmother in a previous video of the challenge, but you haven't met my grandfather. Actually, you have. You have met both my grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather was the person who said, have a spiffy day in my Day of the Life of an Amputee vlog, and my grandmother was the one sitting next to me doing the cotton ball challenge with me. So as I said, sorry for a little bit of a more sad video, but just know that the outcome is good for me. The build-up is sad. So now that you know this, we're going to get over it and we're not going to think about it anymore. And we're just going to continue having fun on this channel and making videos to entertain you and me. And I just want to thank you for that again. See you next week. Have a spiffy day.